Turning clutter into cash, the resale method. Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome back to The Explainer, everyone. Today, we're absolutely tearing into day 3 of this massive 100-day money-making series. But hey, before we get to the big win, we actually have to talk about zero. Yeah, I want you to just let that sink in for a second. Zero. That is the total number of sales generated from yesterday's day 2 experiment, which was all about listing a digital product on Etsy. Absolutely zero sales. No traction, no income. Zilch. Look, it can be incredibly frustrating to put effort into a project and just see a big, round zero staring right back at you, right? But honestly, it's a completely crucial part of the learning process. And that brings us to the core philosophy of this entire 100-day series: absolute transparency. The source creator isn't hiding their failures here. They are actively highlighting them. Yesterday gave us 0 sales. So today required a radical pivot. Instead of trying to create something out of thin air to sell to the internet at large, today's strategy is grounded in pure physical reality. Sell everything. Or, well, at least sell the things taking up space. It's a complete 180-degree turn in methodology. Let's just compare these two approaches for a minute because the contrast is honestly fascinating. Day 2's digital product was abstract, right? It required generating traffic completely from scratch, and it resulted in 0 sales. Day 3's focus on physical clutter, however, has this immediate, tangible promise to it. You already own the asset. The value is literally already there, just sitting in your room. It's just a matter of unlocking it. We're moving from the abstract digital realm straight into the concrete physical world. The 40-minute experiment. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that the creator didn't just casually decide to, clean their room. They treated this as a highly structured, scientific approach to sourcing inventory. They dubbed it the 40-minute experiment. When you start treating your own environment as a potential warehouse of inventory, your entire perspective shifts. You stop seeing a messy room and you start seeing potential capital. And the best part? It's an experiment with a strictly defined time limit. So what exactly did they dig up during this targeted sweep? Well, 3 old textbooks, totally unopened since last semester, 1 completely unused phone case, and 1 pair of shoes that just kind of didn't fit right. I mean, these are incredibly ordinary items. I bet if you paused this explainer and just looked around your own room right now, you could probably find a nearly identical list of unused stuff. This really proves that literally everyone has hidden inventory right under their nose. And here is absolutely the best part of this entire method. The total upfront cost to start this specific money-making experiment was exactly $0. Literally nothing. Unlike starting a dropshipping business or, investing in expensive software, the barrier to entry here is completely non-existent. You're just leveraging sunk costs, money you already spent months or maybe years ago, and extracting the remaining value without risking a single new penny. Remember the title of the experiment? 40. That represents the total number of minutes it took to execute the entire setup. And that includes finding the items, taking clear photos using nothing but a standard smartphone camera, and writing up the actual listings. Just 40 minutes of focused, distraction-free effort. It really goes to show that you don't need a whole weekend to start a side hustle. You just need a dedicated lunch break or a free hour in the evening. Now, the distribution strategy here was, frankly, brilliant. They didn't just throw these items on one platform and cross their fingers. The creators specifically listed all 5 items simultaneously on both Facebook Marketplace and Mercari. Why? Because they reach completely different sets of buyers. Facebook Marketplace is incredible for those hyperlocal, cash-in-hand transactions, while Mercari opens you up to a broader, national audience who's perfectly willing to pay for shipping. It's a really calculated move to double the exposure right out of the gate. Of course, having the items listed is only step 1. Step 2 is pricing, and this is where the strategy gets super sharp. The goal here was to price the items slightly below what similar listings were going for. Look, when you're selling common items like textbooks or phone cases, you're competing in a totally saturated market. By intentionally undercutting the competition by just a few bucks, you signal to algorithm-savvy buyers that your item is the absolute best deal, ensuring your inventory moves way faster than the rest. So, the trap was set. How long did it actually take to catch something? 6 hours. That's it. It took only 6 hours of waiting before a notification popped up on their phone. Someone messaged the creator about one of those unopened textbooks. This is an incredibly fast feedback loop. I mean, compared to waiting weeks for an algorithm to magically pick up a digital product, 6 hours provides this almost instant hit of validation that your strategy is actually working. And here is the victorious result. After that initial message, they agreed on a price, met up on the local college campus the very next morning, and walked away with $18 in actual, tangible, same-day cash. Plus, negotiations for those shoes, they're currently ongoing. It's a massive win. You literally took an object doing absolutely nothing and in under 24 hours transformed it into a physical $20 bill, give or take a few singles. So the crucial point is captured perfectly in this quote directly from the source creator. It's not life-changing, but compare that to yesterday's zero. This $18 isn't going to buy you a private jet anytime soon, but psychological momentum is everything when you're learning to generate income. Breaking that zero streak is absolutely monumental. This actually became the fastest method tested so far in the entire 100-day series, proving that traction is 100% possible when you apply the right structured approach. Now, I want to shift gears for a second and talk directly to you, the viewer. We've analyzed the creator's success, sure, but the entire point of this explainer is to empower you with the knowledge. So we've distilled their process into a highly actionable blueprint. If you want to replicate this 18 victory, or hey, potentially scale it much higher depending on what kind of stuff you own, here is the exact roadmap you can follow right now. Let's see how this builds into a truly repeatable process. Step 1. Look around for anything you haven't used in 3 months. Be ruthless here. Step 2. Take well-lit photos. Honestly, natural light from the window is your absolute best friend for this. Step 3. List on both Facebook Marketplace and Mercari for maximum reach. Step 4. Price slightly below competitors to guarantee a quick sale. And step 5, which is incredibly important for your safety, always meet in a public, well-lit place for local sales. Coffee shops or campus libraries are perfect for this. Before we wrap up today's breakdown, just a really quick note on the broader context of this series. If you found this breakdown valuable, the source creator highly recommends going back and watching day 1 and day 2 of their journey. Day 1 sets up the why, the entire philosophical motivation behind this crazy 100-day sprint. And day 2 sets up the stakes with that digital product failure we discussed earlier. Understanding the full timeline makes these individual daily explainers so much more impactful. Additionally, the creator has set up a Telegram channel, which you can find linked in the description of their original material. They use this channel to post extra updates on the series, real-time behind-the-scenes thoughts, and these smaller money-making tips that just don't really have the space to fit into the main updates. If you love this kind of structured daily learning, that community is definitely worth checking out for closer access. And that brings us to the end of our explainer for day 3. But it leaves us with a highly provocative question for tomorrow. What happens when you run out of things to own and you still need to generate cash? Day 4's challenge will explore a method that does not rely on selling your own property, which the creator admits is going to be significantly harder. You definitely won't want to miss how they tackle that hurdle. So keep learning, keep experimenting, and I'll see you in the next explainer.